So, there's this new law shaking up the crypto world called the Genius Act. It's supposed to bring some much needed order to things. But here's the big question we're digging into. Is this the brilliant solution crypto has been waiting for? Or is it actually a scammer's dream come true?
Okay, just think about this for a second. When you think of crypto, you probably think of those insane price swings, right? It's up one day, down the next. But what if there was a kind of crypto that wasn't like that at all? What if it was actually stable?
Well, there is, and it's called a stable coin. And believe me, this isn't just some small niche corner of the market. This has become the absolute backbone of the entire digital economy.
So what is a stablecoin, really? It's actually a pretty simple idea. Just think of it like a digital dollar. For every single stablecoin out there in the wild, there's supposed to be one real US dollar or something just as good sitting in a bank account somewhere. The whole point is that it's always worth a buck. This is, super useful for traders who want to jump out of a risky crypto without having to cash all the way out to traditional money.
And when I say useful, I mean, wow. The scale here is just staggering. Last year alone, the transaction volume for stablecoins hit $33 trillion. No, that is not a typo. 33 trillion. This is a massive core part of how the whole crypto machine works.
Now, this huge market isn't exactly a free-for-all. It's really dominated by two giants. You can see here, Tether, that's the company behind the coin USDT. They control a whopping 62% of the entire market. The next biggest is Circle with their coin USDC. Now, remember those two names, Tether and Circle. They're going to be pretty central to the rest of this story.
With that much money flying around, you just knew it was a matter of time before Washington decided to step in. And they did. They came up with the Genius Act, which is this big piece of legislation designed to finally bring some real-world financial rules and, frankly, a dose of legitimacy to stablecoins.
So here's the gist of it. The Genius Act is a bipartisan deal, Democrats and Republicans on board, and it basically says, hey, if you're going to issue a digital dollar, you better have a real dollar in the bank to back it up. It requires that one-for-one backing with safe liquid assets. The whole goal is to create a clear, simple set of rules. On the surface, that sounds great, right? A huge step towards making crypto safer for everyone? Well, not so fast. Just when it seemed like a good idea was taking hold, some of New York's top cops, we're talking the Attorney General and the Manhattan DA, they started sounding a massive alarm. They said they found a huge critical flaw in the law. And listen, they were not pulling any punches. They wrote this letter saying, the Genius Act, as it's written, actually gives legal cover to companies that are, and this is a direct quote, profiting from fraud. Just let that sink in for a second. The very law that's supposed to stop bad behavior is being accused of protecting it.
So what's the actual problem? Well, according to these prosecutors, the law is missing one absolutely vital piece. There's no language in it that forces these stablecoin companies to return stolen funds to the actual victims of the crime. And this chart really shows you why that loophole is so terrifying to law enforcement. Because they're so stable and easy to move around, stablecoins have become the #1 tool for criminals in the crypto space. They now make up 63% of all illicit crypto transactions. We're talking fraud, scams, money laundering, the whole shebang.
Okay, so this gets us right to the heart of the fight. The prosecutors say that when they track down stolen money and tell a stablecoin company, hey, freeze these funds and give them back to the victim, the companies often just don't do it. So the big question becomes, why on earth not? Let's just break down the two completely different stories we're hearing. On one side, you have the prosecutors. They're claiming these companies will freeze the stolen money, but then just sit on it. They say they're blocking law enforcement and literally profiting from crime. But then you hear from the stablecoin companies and they say, no, we cooperate with law enforcement, we follow all the rules, we're all about consumer protection. It's like they're living in two different realities. And these accusations get very, very specific. Prosecutors claim that Tether, the biggest player, only really helps out federal law enforcement and only on a case-by-case basis. That leaves a ton of victims of local and state crimes completely out in the cold. But get this. They say Circle's policies are significantly worse, alleging that the company will freeze the funds, but then just flat out refuse to give the money back to the victims. So you have to ask, what could possibly be the motive? Well, the prosecutors say it's simple: profit. They argue there's a crystal clear financial reason for this.
See, when a company freezes stolen stablecoins, they are still holding the real US dollars that back those coins. And they can invest those real dollars and collect interest on them, interest on money that rightfully belongs to a victim of fraud.
And just to give you an idea of this scale we're talking about here, as of last November, prosecutors allege that Circle was holding on to more than $114 million in these frozen funds. That's a huge amount of money that's earning interest for a company instead of being returned to the people who were scammed out of it.
So, what does all this mean for the future? Well, this whole fight really zooms out to a much bigger question. It's a fundamental clash between the move fast and break things world of crypto and the, long-established rules of consumer safety that we have in traditional finance.
Law professor Hillary J. Allen put it perfectly. She said, and I'm quoting here, "All of that mundane stuff sorted out for traditional finance, it's not there in the Genius Act." She argues that these basic safety nets aren't incompatible with the technology of crypto, but they might be incompatible with its current business model. And that's a huge distinction.
And really, that's what you should take away from all this. This whole debate isn't just about the fine print in one law. It's about a really core question. Can this industry, which was built on the idea of rewriting all the rules, actually adopt the most basic consumer protections that we all just take for granted in the rest of our financial lives?
It really leaves us with this final critical question. We all want to see financial innovation, but can that innovation really move forward if it means leaving the victims of crime behind in the dust? The answer to that is going to shape the future of money for all of us.